Welcome to the Impact My Life podcast, where we try to provide self-defense for life. My guest today is one of my friends, John Tumino, from my Profound Business Group. He runs In My Father's Kitchen. So welcome, John.
Jason,
Thanks for being
thank you.
on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me come on and be a voice for the voiceless.
Awesome. I'm going to start with an intro for the
Yeah.
people that don't know you.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody should know you, but if they don't, we'll give you the intro and then we'll get into the
All right.
interview.
Let's do it.
John and Leanne Tumino are community leaders and founders of In My Father's Kitchen, a Syracuse-based nonprofit that has become a trusted force for compassionate street-level outreach to people experiencing homelessness. Since its inception in 2011, In My Father's Kitchen has provided far more than meals. It has created pathways from homelessness to stable living by bringing food, medical care, clothing, and relationship-based support directly to individuals living in places not meant for human habitation. Through this work, the Tuminos and their team have assisted more than 450 individuals in moving from homelessness towards stable living conditions, demonstrating a sustained model of community-driven change. Their impact also extends through signature initiatives such as Higher Ground, which offers dignified daily labor opportunities as an alternative to panhandling, and Restore Outreach, which supports women affected by the trauma of homelessness, domestic violence, and sexual exploitation through community healing and personal growth. Together, John and Leanne's leadership reflects the power of consistent presence, practical compassion, and community partnership to restore dignity and help people rebuild their lives. Wow. Pretty awesome.
I know when I hear people like you're reading that, I'm like thinking, man, this started out of my house 15 years ago, and look where we are now. It's amazing.
Yeah, what a legacy. But I want to start like even before In My Father's Kitchen existed.
Yeah.
So tell us about your childhood. Where
Yeah.
did you grow up? What kind of a kid were you?
Ooh, juvenile delinquent. So my parents were immigrants to the United States. My mom was pregnant with me when they came here in 1964. I was born in 65 on St. Patrick's Day. We were on the north side originally of Syracuse. And then when I was 7 years old, then I had two other siblings at that time. We moved to Tip Hill. So my dad was a factory worker. My mom was a seamstress at Learberries. So I grew up in a home speaking a second language, eating different kinds of food. Living amongst the Irish and the Ukrainian on Temporary Hill. Italian slash. So my dad's Sicilian, moved to Argentina when he was 13.
Oh, wow.
My mom was born and raised in Argentina, and that's where they met, got married, and then came here to the States. So I grew up really speaking Spanish, not Italian, even though my mom and dad both speak Sicilian, dialect, Italian, Spanish, and English. But in the house, it was more Spanish speaking.
That's a total the World Cup would have been
Yes.
interesting.
Oh, yeah. We didn't pull it off, though. Sunday, Argentina lost to Spain. But, the whole me growing up in that environment, soccer, football was a big deal for me growing up. And I've always been passionate about the Argentina national team.
I don't think people realize. I remember speaking to my wife's grandma before she passed. She passed at like 101. But how many factories there were in Syracuse?
Yeah.
She had to stop school. She had so many siblings, and she was the oldest. So she stopped school in 8th grade and just bounced around to the hat factory and all these different factories. Like there was a lot of manufacturing in Syracuse back in the day.
Yeah, my dad worked at New Process Gear, which is an affiliate with Chrysler Corporation. And then at that time, there was GM was here, Carrier was here. I remember as a kid, there was the Nettleton Shoe Company. My mom was at Learberries.
Yeah.
There was all kinds of stuff manufacturing. Now it's turned all tech-wise. But, yeah, this was a manufacturing town.
Downtown was very different back then.
It was different too. I know my mom told me stories about in the 60s and early 70s walking through downtown, and now thank God it's revitalizing and it's coming back to what it once was, you know?
Yeah. Who are some of the big influences in your life growing up?
Well, all my cousins, aunts, uncles lived in another country, so it was always a small knit. It was me, my brothers, my parents.
How many brothers?
So there's a total of 4 of us. I was the oldest of 4.
Okay.
So I take on that Superman complex. I was the babysitter by force.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. But I guess my influences growing up were, I think, athletes. I always loved the NFL. Dallas Cowboys was my team. Was really big in that. Loved basketball, the SU basketball program. So I think athletes were kind of the person that I would look up to and aspire. Music was a big deal for me. I was an 80s kid, so heavy metal, hard rock. So like Kiss was a big thing for me in the day, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. So
The heavy stuff.
Yeah, real heavy stuff, like hard rock stuff. That's what
No
got
Outfield or Wham for you.
no, that was more in the 90s as I started to get away from that heavy metal stuff when girls came into the scene,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, but yeah, that was kind of what I was listening to and what was influencing my direction of life. And then living on Tip Hill, going to parochial school my whole life until the 8th grade, I begged my parents to get me out of parochial school because it was just homework all the time. So I went to Blodgett, and then I went to Fowler High School is where I graduated. So then getting immersed into public school system was a whole new ball game for me. A lot of the things that I already learned in Catholic school, I learned in 7th grade, they were teaching in 8th grade in a public school. So I learned right away. The kids thought I was like the smart one, and it was really, no, I just learned it the year prior, you know. And so for me, public school introduced a whole nother realm of like dealing with different dynamics within the community. But then it also led me down a slippery slope of, like I said, I kind of laughed off juvenile delinquent. I started to do kind of bad things as a kid.
Yeah. How did you end up in the restaurant business?
That was
And how long did you work in it before you actually opened your own restaurant?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So out of high school, my dad got me a job at New Process Gear as well. Back then, it was if you had a family member in, that's how you get in. Now I'm an 18-year-old kid making almost like $1,000 a week back in 1985. That was a lot of money back then, you know. Got a nice sports car and all that stuff. So my dad's dream was always to have a restaurant. So we opened up a pizzeria on North Salina Street called Tumino's Pizzeria. So when I worked at New Process Gear, they were laying off every summer, and every summer, I would be the low man on the totem pole. So I would be the guy getting laid off. You get called back six months later. So we opened up this pizzeria, started to do really well, and then we opened up a second one on South Bay and Thompson Road in Cicero, and that was doing really well. And then on my third layoff, they called me back to go back to work, and I turned it down. I said, no, we're going to be doing this. So I was a pizza man until 1995.
So no formal culinary training?
No, just growing up with my parents, you know. Yeah. So that was a big thing for me. Food as a young man was a vehicle that I learned that could make friends for me. Like people would want to come to my house because we ate different kinds of stuff, you know.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff, right. Different things that they weren't accustomed to eating. And all of a sudden that was a magnet to make friendships with people. So food was a powerful thing. And then food became an instrument to make money. So now I'm using it as a livelihood. So it makes friends. Now I'm making money with it. But in 1993, my kind of life was upside down. I told you, like, as a young guy, I was a kind of a troublemaker, but got on the right track. But then I had two addictions going on. I had a severe gambling addiction as well as a sexual addiction. And in 1993, my life was a crazy mess. End of bowl games in 92, 93, January 2nd, I lost $27,000 to a bookmaker. Didn't have the money to pay. Yeah. And it was like I thought something was going to happen to me. I was going to be dead. I was going to get hurt. I was like hiding. And that's when I reintroduced that faith part to my life. I kind of started to gravitate to, I needed to change my life. You know,
that was my next question I know you're a minister. And I was wondering if it came out of In My Father's Kitchen or if it came in before then.
No, before. So I grew up in the Catholic faith, so I always knew I had a faith component, but never really bought into really living that kind of life. Yeah. And then in 1993, this is a long answer to this restaurant question, I kind of recommit my life back to God. And then from 93 to 95, my life started to turn around. And in 95, we sold off our pizzerias. I just didn't want to do restaurant world anymore. I just felt a different calling, right? So I became a process server. I was serving legal papers for 5 years. And then until 2002, we owned the property where the pizzeria was. My dad had another idea of opening up a restaurant and calling it Asti. Okay. And that's when Asti Cafe was born in 2002. And
that's you guys?
That was us.
I had no idea.
That was me. So awesome. We went from pizzeria business to kind of full-blown restaurant. Yeah. And then 2002 was me, my mom, my dad, my brother, and myself, and one staffer opened up Asti Cafe until I walked away in 2011 to do the work that we do now. I had a staff of 30. We had 3 major expansions there. It was very successful.
Yeah, it was. It was great.
Yeah. So that was my kind of, the food thing all came because that was really my dad's kind of dream, like having something, but he used the kids as his labor force. So
I think that's pretty common with first generation families.
correct,
like that.
correct. But that's not, for me though, the calling wasn't, I did it, we made money at it, we were good at it. But then in 2011, that all changed for me, and that's when In My Father's Kitchen all started.
Yeah. How did that come about?
That was me. So in 93, I kind of recommit my life back to God, and I started really following my faith journey, really pushing into the scriptures, learning who I am in Christ, and kind of really going down this faith journey while doing business. I was a businessman, but also had a faith part of my life, and those two things were going simultaneously. And then 2009, I'm in the restaurant and in the morning just prepping for the day, and I was just doing, that's when I do my prayer time and my devotionals. And I was just thinking, talking to God in my heart, and I just heard these words like In My Father's Kitchen, kind of a concept dropped in me, and I felt it would be a place that Leanne and I would have, that we would use food now again to fill someone's belly, and then God's presence could come in and change someone's life like it did for me, right? Mm-hmm. And then I thought, wow, that's a really cool concept. But then for me, as anyone who goes into the ministry of clergyhood, they call it the calling came to me. I just heard in my heart, it's time to leave this behind and follow me in this direction. And I was like, I'm making money now. I'm very successful. When I was a wreck, I would have turned this over in 2 seconds to do God's work. But now the finances were doing really well, and it was like a challenge. I'm like, you want me to leave all this behind? I thought I would just use money to fund projects, but now he's asking me to do a project. So we thought we were going to Costa Rica, to Central America, to do missions work with this thing called In My Father's Kitchen, using food. And then it was an 18-month transition from when I heard that message kind of come to me until I walk away from the restaurant world in 2011. We didn't tell anybody for 6 months. We kind of just sat on it, kind of prayed to make sure this is what we're supposed to do. Then I tell my family, and they thought I lost my marbles. My brothers were my partners. I was the president of the company.
Also, they're local?
Yeah, so I'm the president. My brother's the vice president. The other one's the secretary. We're all partners in this thing, and now I'm dropping this bomb that I'm going to be walking away. But I didn't want to leave them hanging. Yeah. So there was a transition period now of a year from that point. So 18 months later, we walk away, and I think we're going to Central America. And I'm driving down 81 South, and I'm just feeling all of a sudden we're not supposed to go there. Yeah. I just can't explain it other than it was like a check, like a red light, like
a lot to do here.
Yeah,
like
I didn't
do this, but do it here.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that. I just knew you're not going there. That's what I felt, and I was like having this conversation within myself, like I just left. I just walked away. What am I supposed to do? I have a 10-year-old daughter, and then I'm getting off the off-ramp because I live on the north side. It was Bear Street, and there's a guy holding a cardboard sign. And I'm sitting there, and I'm realizing no one's looking at him. I'm like 4 cars away, and everyone's kind of looking that straight ahead. I'm sure everyone knows what I'm talking about. You're looking straight ahead. You don't want to look. Yeah. And then I just hear again, I keep feeling these words come into my heart. He thinks he's invisible. God's telling me, I see him. I want you to do something, execute. So I leave that lineup of cars and go to Wegmans. I get a sandwich, water, cookies, come back. My heart's pounding now in my chest because he's still standing there. And my hands are sweaty. I'm like, time to execute. And I park my car instead of doing a drive-by, and I walk over to him, and I introduce myself to him. I say, hey, man, my name's John. What's your name? He says, my name's Tim. I said, well, I have a lunch here if you'd like it. He goes, I'm starving. I give him the lunch. I said, I just got to tell you one thing, Tim. He goes, what's that? You're not invisible. I said, God sees you. I see you. And I felt I needed to come over here. Now, I'm on a corner with cars zooming all around at a light. And he breathes in and breathes out, and he says, I feel like nobody sees me. And he unpacks this crazy story of his life, childhood trauma. He was sexually assaulted as a kid, never got help, became that troublemaker in school. No one really knew what was going on. His family he came from a broken situation, never got the treatment to help him with his trauma. He was sexually assaulted. And then he becomes this troublemaker kid, hangs out with the wrong crowd, starts using drugs, drops out of school. Now he's 30 and he's on an off-ramp. He unpacks that whole story in 20 minutes to me because I tell him he's not invisible and I acknowledged him. Yeah. And all of a sudden we're done talking and I realize, oh my gosh, like we're having this in-depth conversation, and imagine doing this on an off-ramp.
Yeah.
And I come out of that encounter, like I go home, I said, Leanne, I know what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to find these guys and tell them they're not invisible and feed them. And that's how In My Father's Kitchen was born. Again, it's food again. Mm-hmm. Food made friends, food made money. Food is now helping me make connections with people on the street.
Was your wife right there with you, or did she need more convincing?
No, well, she was bought in. We went to Central America. We did 3 trips down there to make sure that we were supposed to go there because we had a 10-year-old kid with us, you know. So she was already bought in to that. But then when I said, I think we need to pivot here, and this is what it is, she's like, okay, let's do it. And I always say I heard something on that off-ramp because here we are 15 years later, and we started out of our house. So my next question for me in my prayer time for Leanne and I was, how are we going to do this? Mm-hmm. What do you mean, go help the homeless? And I just kept hearing, just use what you have in your hands. And I say all of us have something in our hands. Like you have a mic now, right? Mm-hmm. This is one of your gifts. So I had a talent as a chef. I had a kitchen in my house, and I had a car. Just use what you got. And
you had a calling.
And I had the calling. And so we went out and we started doing it. And here we are now 15 years later.
Skills, car, and
my
calling.
Talent as a chef, my kitchen in my house, and my car to drive around town with, and a heart of compassion. Because remember, I came out of 2 situations myself. Mm-hmm. I had 2 addictions that I overcame. So that could have been me, you know, out there. I had family structure to keep me kind of in check. I gave my life to God in a different capacity. These folks don't have any mechanism. So we become that mechanism for them out on the street. We become their family, their friends, their support mechanism, you know. So they don't have that, I've learned, and now we become that for them.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you lose track of him, or were you ever able to?
No, Tim's indoors. He never dealt with his substance abuse. He still dabbles with it, but he's been safely now housed for years. He's one of those over 400 people that are indoors. He knows he's the first guy. Like when I see him, he says, "I'll start it with a sandwich." Like he knows that it was because of that encounter with him that I went out thinking that I was going to help this guy, which I did that day. But something happened to me, like. A mutual exchange happened on that off-ramp. Like he was being blessed with food, but then the calling of my missions of life purpose came because of that encounter, and he was part of it. He'll always be part of it.
That's amazing.
It's like your first girlfriend. You know what I mean? You had that first kiss. You're never going to forget that, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. To me, it's like Jason. I every day. I think I'm in I'm in a movie, man. It's like. I would have never thought, you know, I had a staff of 30, successful restaurant, well known in the community. I'm under a bridge sometimes walking out and I'm like, Lord, only you would have known. That. It's like, I don't regret anything. I'm happy. My purpose and my talents have collided together and I'm living my best life. You know, it doesn't mean it's easy, but I feel purposeful.
Yeah. You know, you said, when you met up with Tim, right?
Yeah.
When you met up with Tim, everybody else was just staring straight ahead.
Yeah.
And I think because people get uncomfortable in those situations. So, like, what are some misconceptions people have about homelessness?
Yeah. That's a great question. So I always say, you know, people could judge someone by an outward appearance, right? Mm-hmm. We get to find out the story behind the sign, right? The cardboard sign. So when you hear someone's story, all of a sudden now you have understanding, oh, that's why that's happening, right? So misconceptions are like if they know that someone's obviously using drugs, just stop. You just can't stop if you got narcotics going through your system, right? Or just get a job. Well, how are you going to get a job if you're on drugs and you're homeless and you don't have changes of clothes? Or how are you going to wash up? You know, how do you maintain a job like that? You can't. Or a mental health. You're not taking your medications. You're not going to be a viable employee for an employer. You're not ready to go get a job. So those are kind of the quick 2 things. Oh, just stop using or just go get a job. Or one of the things I've learned now, because what I've learned through trauma, so whenever the age of trauma happens to you, it's called arrested development. It's a term that they use in that realm. So your development kind of gets captured at that moment. So you're 13 years old, you just got assaulted. So now you're growing up physically, but your mind, your emotions are solely arrested at that place. So now you're in a human adult body, but you still have a solical mindset of a 13-year-old with trauma that hasn't been resolved. So that keeps coming out even when you're 30 years old. So that's the other misconception that people have, is that there's brokenness, a trail of brokenness that's leading someone to stand on that corner. It doesn't. You just don't wake up and say, "Hey, I'm going to be a heroin addict," or "I think I'm going to have schizophrenia today." Or I think I'll choose to be physically assaulted at 7. It doesn't, things happen.
Yeah, and the situation that got them into that situation
Correct.
isn't going to provide the support needed to, the therapy
Yeah.
to get them out of it.
Right, and they're
So,
self-medicating. So, if you have trauma, and for example, you might be trying to be disciplined in your eating plan, right? All of us have probably tried to do that, eat better. And all of a sudden, 10 o'clock, you start raiding your cabinets because something triggered you emotionally, maybe, that caused you to go to food.
Yeah.
So now it's the same way on the streets, except they're self-medicating with substances like drugs, right? To mask, to hide the pain that they've been feeling for all this time. They just don't know how to deal with that. Or they're not seeing a therapist. They're not unpacking what's happening within them, and that causes them to make bad decisions.
So would you say addiction is more the cause or the result, or a little of both?
I say the addiction comes after the trauma. So my group too, we'll talk about my demographic is the chronically homeless. These are individuals who won't go to shelter. They choose to live outdoors in the woods and abandoned buildings.
Cases.
Yeah. So you could be in the shelter and homeless and don't have these things that I'm talking about. I'm not saying every homeless person is an addict. Every homeless person has mental health. There are some folks in shelters that are families. Dad lost their job and they have nowhere to go. They can't pay the rent, so they land in a family shelter. So that does happen. That's not my group. My group has got the trauma. 95% of our group is untreated mental health and substance abuse. Hardcore. Things happen to them. Women, like you talked about in the bio about the women will cross into trafficking or they'll be trafficked. Women are the minority on the street, but they're very vulnerable to domestic violence. They're getting beat up all the time. They're always with someone who's like their protector, but that protector is also abusing them at the same time.
It's interesting you differentiating the populations like you do. We do, there's a lady, I don't even know how I found her. I think I found her in Eastside Moms, the Facebook group, where she was just asking for a collection one day. And she runs a program for adults with disabilities, but she does collections for local homeless kids. So when it's Easter basket time, we get them Easter baskets. When it's Halloween, we get them candy. When it's Christmas, we get them Christmas gifts. And I was amazed because she always has the numbers and the ages of the kids. How many kids that are living on somebody's couch or in a hotel room that are unhoused, but they're inside and they're attending school, but on somebody's couch or bouncing through hotel rooms. And but I never thought about the difference between the two populations.
Yeah, so it's like in the public school system, there's a federal program called McKinney-Vento that works with homeless youth. So in my group, if you're couch surfing, you're not considered homeless. You have to be in one of these places where humans should be living. In a under 18 realm, like a youth, couch surfing, you got in a fight with mom and dad, they kicked you out of the house, you're at someone's couch, that's homeless.
Yeah.
And you still got to go to school.
Yeah.
So there's a whole mechanism in place to help students who are suffering from homelessness because of disenfranchised family situations or whatever to help them navigate out of that. But now imagine the trauma, like when I go speak at schools and I talk about homelessness, I know that some of the kids in there are probably homeless and their friends don't even realize it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a stigma that comes with it too, right? Shame, guilt or whatever, thinking maybe it was your fault that you got kicked out. So there's a lot of mental component that comes with living in a homeless situation, whether you're outside or one of those kids that you were talking about.
Yeah, imagine something to perform at school,
Yeah.
after what it takes to just get there.
Yeah, exactly. But the kid, everyone has potential. So for me, potential is, the definition is capable of being but not yet realized, right? Everyone, I'm sure with the martial arts, you see someone who's struggling, but you see that they're right there. They just don't see it yet. You see it before they see it. And our job, I think your job, is to get them to believe in themselves. Hey, you could do this. And that's what we do. We see the potential, because you're a human being, there is potential. Even in your brokenness, we can make little baby steps to something. And we try to encourage them and lead them into those steps.
So what does a street outreach actually look like? What is your your schedule.
Yeah.
I know obviously you're out there in the trenches
Yeah.
helping people. You're doing fundraising. You're managing products.
Yeah.
Like what does the street outreach side look like for you?
So what it is so me as a chef, so I get to cook still, which is awesome. So that scratches that cooking itch. So the days of outreach, like Tuesdays and
I
Thursdays.
saw the other day your pulled pork looked really good. I was like, ooh,
yeah,
they're eating good today.
So elevated meals. So it's about bringing up quality, dignity, and value through food to someone who doesn't feel like they deserve it, right? So I'm going to bring you lasagna, pulled pork, steak sandwich, chicken wrap, things that I used to sell and make money off. Now I'm bringing it for free to you because you deserve it. So for me, how it is the night before, Tuesdays and Thursdays are street outreach days where we bring out food. And I kind of plan a menu the night before. I start thinking about what am I going to make tomorrow? And that's me being that chef again. And then I come up with a menu that morning of. I go shopping, whether it's Wegmans or Costco's, or I go to the Restaurant Depot. I'll get the things that I need for that day, and then I'll execute. I'll make a meal, and then by 11:30, we're out on the street. So I leave my house around 7 a.m. I go shopping, come back, make the meal, hit the road at 11:30 with about 20 to 25 meals in the summertime. And then we have our supplies on our van, me, my two case managers, now a doctor's embedded with us with a medical student. We hit the road and do street outreach from 11:30 till like 2:30. And then we come back, and then then there's a lot of data collection. Who did we encounter? Medical things that were just done. We have to kind of enter information into a system that we use. And then my case managers on their off street days, they're doing follow-up care. So that's when we do housing paperwork. We get you to a doctor's appointment. We get you to the Department of Social Services. We get your birth certificate. So we're doing all that stuff on off days. But on the street days, it's me personally shopping, executing a meal, driving the van, going out, talking to folks. I come back around 2:30. I disengage from that part of it, and I start doing social media stuff. I'll start doing the other part of what I do, my job duties, and then the team does the case management stuff. Where in the early days, that was me doing all that. So now we have a staff of 8, and they do all that stuff.
Nice to have help, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then we have there's a database that all this info goes into that HUD uses. It's called the Homeless Management Information System. So all the where did we meet someone, how old they are, their birthday, their social, all that, their mental health challenges, their substance, all that goes into a system so that we all can work together in a community. If you're a rescue mission and you type in this guy's name, you're going to see my notes. Okay. I could see your notes. So we all see how the community is working on behalf of someone that we're all touching on the street. So that's kind of how my day looks on street outreach. Mondays, we're embedded over at the Samaritan Center, which is a soup kitchen with the county has a syringe exchange program. It's harm reduction. So they're handing out paraphernalia, condoms, some socks and stuff. We're there with a doctor. So if anyone shows up with an abscess or needs medical treatment, the doctor's there to take care of them. Our team's inside the Samaritan Center meeting with folks. We're using it as a rendezvous point. Hey, on Mondays we're here. You can meet us there. So that's what happens on Monday.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been there on a Monday because I haven't seen you guys.
Yeah, at the Samaritan?
Yeah. I usually do the breakfast.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we're there at from 1 to 2:30 for their lunchtime meal. And so we're there every Monday. And then on Wednesday, my team's embedded over at the Hospitality Center with Catholic Charities for an hour. And that's when they're doing case management. And for me, I set up opportunities like this. I'm doing public speaking. I'm going to be speaking at Lemoyne College. So I have other duties that I do. So, yeah, that's kind of my... what I like about it, it's very organic. I like structure and discipline, but I love being able to flow. Like doing what I'm doing with you, there's no script. Yeah. I don't know what you're going to ask me. Yeah. It's just live happening. That's me. I love that. I thrive.
That's why I ask, because some people want an outline. Some people want to know nothing. Yeah. Some people want every question. Yeah. But I like it when it's just free flow.
Yeah, I thrive in that environment. I think when you're in business, you've learned, if you're an entrepreneur, you learn you got to flow sometimes. You have structure, but I call it form and flow. So you want to have structure and so that the flow could go through parameters. Like you need to have banks on a river or the river will go crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, but I like the flow. Sometimes I like to get outside the banks.
Now, when you're serving meals to these to your
friends.
Yep, I remember the term. It took me a second. When you're serving, are they usually in the same places, or do you have to seek them out, or do you just know where to go?
That's a great question. So when I first started doing this, I had no idea where people were. We were just, my job was find people on corners and go talk to them.
Yeah.
And then I started to find out, they'll tell you, well, I'm living in this camp over here in the woods, or I'm living in this abandoned building over here. So then you start to find out like where encampments are, different places where people are living in abandoned buildings. And now it's like 15 years later, we know where all the major kind of spots are, but then there's always new locations, and that's usually referrals from the street. Another person from the street might say to me, hey, John, there's a new person just showed up and they're behind that building over there. And we go over there and we make, I call it first contact, it's soft intro. Hey, this is who we are. This is what we do. And usually they hear about us. I had one time an encounter where we met a couple for the first time, never met them before, over by Dinosaur Barbecue on the Harold Place off-ramp. And they, the kid told me the story. Like, when I meet you, I take it at face value. You're telling me what is true.
Yeah.
We don't see him for a couple of weeks, and then we see him like 3 weeks later, and he comes running over apologizing. I only met the guy once. And he goes, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what are you apologizing about? And he goes, well, everything I told you was BS. And I'm like, well, why are you apologizing? Because when I went back under the bridge, they said, you're legit. Like, you got to just be honest with these guys are here to help us. So we have street cred, you know? So again, it's building that relationship. Yeah.
Tell me about Higher Ground.
So that program, Higher Ground, is a day labor program. It's an alternative to panhandling. So one of the things that we realized is once even we got folks indoors to an apartment situation, their panhandling subsided, but not completely, and it's because of the addiction. So if you have an addiction and you're not addressing it, and you have no income, you're on that corner holding a sign to get money, right? So we started to realize we needed to do something about that, and the community's always, the government, city, county, business owners are always complaining about panhandlers, right? So they're in front of my business, that doesn't look good for the city. So I'm always in these meetings that try to figure out a way of dealing with this, and they wanted to criminalize it at one point. And then I always big about we need to do more engagement. And then Ryan McMahon was the commissioner of the county legislature at the time, and they were trying to enforce like an aggressive panhandling legislation going through. And I was able to get a meeting set up with him to talk about like it needs to be more engagement, maybe in a different way, a work program of some sort. And it kind of got tabled. They tabled the legislation, but nothing really happened with my idea. And then it's like 6 months later, and that whole issue comes up again in a public meeting. And then I leaned over to a city official and said, listen, I have an idea. I'd like to meet with you to talk about it. So Leanne and I went out to New Mexico to visit a program that was kind of doing something like this. It was called the Better Way program. So we went out there for a week. I went out on the street with this work crew. Leanne learned all the logistics behind the curtain of how it needs to run. And we came back with this idea, and we tweaked it, and we called it Higher Ground, and we pitched it. And now Ryan is now the county executive. And then an RFP went out, and we won that RFP. And now that's how Higher Ground was born. So what happens is 3 days a week, that van goes out with a van driver, Kevin, and a case manager, George. And we pick up at 3 different locations on those 3 days at a certain time, like 8, 8:15, 8:30, you need to be at a stop. We only could take 9 people at a time, 3 off each stop. So there's only 9 people that could get on the van. Sometimes there's like 27 people showed up. We had to turn away a lot of people. So we can't, it's not a big number. So they get on the van. Say that as something, especially that for that person that gets on, and we rotate, and we're good about rotating people through, so it's fair. So you work for the day. So you get on the van, you get breakfast. There's a code of conduct, what you're expected to do that day, how you're supposed to behave. You get lunch, and then you work. They're picking up trash. You're working with the DOT, the county, the city. State fairgrounds. Like right now, we'll be at the fairgrounds getting ready for the fair. We'll assemble picnic tables. We'll clean out the stalls. And then they get paid a stipend at the end of the day, cash. So instead of begging, you're on the van. But now while you're on the van, it's a 5-hour experience. So in the middle of your addiction, in the middle of your untreated mental health.
And they're working.
And they're working.
At the end of the day.
Right, but we're also at the end of the day said, listen, Jason, you just worked today for 5 hours in the middle of all this. Imagine if you let us help you go down this road. We could get you connected to an employer and have a real job, you know.
Yeah.
Let's get you housed. Let's get your stuff and then get you working. Or sometimes, Jason, you might be an opiate user, and like at 11 o'clock, you start going through withdrawals. George, the case manager, will call Helio, our partner, and they'll come out with their outreach van, do an assessment, and get you to rehab. That's happened. You've been on the van, you thought you were going to work for the day. Next thing you know, you're in a rehab, and next thing you know, you're sober. 30 days later, you're still in there. That's happened. People needed to get on their meds. That happens through the van. Kevin, our van driver, was a guy I met 11 years ago, homeless. Living outdoors. I helped him get his first apartment, his first job after rehab, got him connected to all the services that he needed. He got reunited with his family. Then when this program started, I knew who I would want to hire. He has the lived experience. So he's a model to them that there is a way out. There is a better way to go out. And Leanne, I just married him. Last month he got married. I did the services for him. This guy's whole life has turned around in 11 years, and it's possible. So he shows those guys that are still outside, and some of them know him from way back then, seen the change in him, that it's possible, and he's a shining light to them. So they work. That's
Model
3
of
days.
success.
Yeah, 3 days. They get an opportunity 3 days a week, different people to get on there, and that's the Higher Ground program. And it's been going now since 2019. We've done hundreds of people, thousands of meals, a lot of people's lives, got a lot of success stories from the van. It's amazing. It got one of our greatest success stories is a kid that works for one of the local restaurants. I'm not going to mention the name because the guy hasn't given me permission to, but he's now the assistant manager of a restaurant that he was walking the streets as a zombie, as an opiate user. I knew the owner of the restaurant. He gave him an opportunity as just like a dishwasher, worked up to the kitchen, and now he's an assistant manager.
Oh, wow.
8 years sobriety. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Are there any companies that you could kind of give credit to or a shout out that are willing to take, are hiring your people?
Yeah,
Or organizations?
Yeah, so like Z-Bart hired a couple of guys. They fizzled out because one of the things I learned too is the easy thing is getting a job. Like I promise an interview. It's between them, the employer, and that interview, how it goes down. If they get hired, one of the things I learned right away is one of the guys that got a job at Z-Bart ended up getting fired because he did 2 no-call, no-shows. And the reason when I called him to say, what happened? He goes, well, I had an appointment at DSS with my case manager there. I needed to make sure that my benefits, but he didn't let his manager know. He just thought that was more important. I don't want to lose my benefits, so he doesn't let his employee. So it's like basic life skills sets that they don't know. So I realize now going in when we get someone connected and they do get hired, we kind of go over, these are expectations. This is what you need to do. You just don't not call. You need to call, let them know what's going on. So things like that. It's learned behavior.
Yeah, it's a process for you too. Now you know.
Yes, exactly. It was a learning curve for me too. Like sometimes I might think, hey, it's A and B and that's it, and C is going to happen. No, it doesn't happen like that.
What does success look for in my father's kitchen?
Oh, man. I think success for me is when you start to see someone's life, they buy into something. It doesn't mean you have to be totally off the street, but it could be they did the housing packet. That was a win today. We got Jason after 3 months to finally buy into doing this house, sitting down with us and doing housing intake. That was a win. That's a successful day. It could be someone said, I need my birth certificate, and we show up and we purchase it for them. That's a win. You know what I mean? So for me, success is my team rallying together. Like we're big on self-care and making sure that our team is whole. Because if you're not whole yourself, how are you going to be whole for somebody else?
That was one of my other questions is how you guys avoid burnout, because I'm sure there's a lot of disappointments and you probably have to fuel yourself with the good stories, but still, how do you stave that off?
Yeah, 103 people have died since we've been doing this work. I lost 3 women in 10 days. That got one got murdered, one OD'd, one got hit by a car and got killed. All in a 10-day period. That's affects our team. We bring in people to help coach us through our emotional. We unpack the emotional part of it. That's the challenging part of it. But to me, it's like those deaths become more fuel to keep us going because we don't want to lose anybody. You know what I mean? We're not the savior, obviously. You have to buy into what you need to do for yourself. But for me, that's the gas in our tanks. I don't want to lose another friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that keeps us moving forward. But then when you get those small wins, that's the wind under your sails there. Or we'll get a text from someone that's been off the streets now for 3 months and say, I just want to thank you guys for everything you did for us. Like a personal testimony that comes only to us.
Yeah.
And we share it with each other. Look what he just said, you know? It's amazing to hear someone acknowledge, hey, thank you.
Do most of the ones that you help, most of the friends that you help, do they stay in Syracuse, or do some of them move around?
Some have moved away, some of them, but mostly the people are here in Onondaga County. They stay here, especially if you're getting housed within these providers. The housing's all within our community here. So there's different ways that you could get into some kind of supportive housing programs, but they usually stay right in town. So we're going to still see you. And the other thing that we do well is that we don't just, Jason, you get connected to housing. We don't just say, see you later, Jason. We stay with you for a 6-month process with your new provider to make sure that you don't recidivize back outside and fall through the cracks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Kind of quick hits here. What has homelessness taught you about human nature?
Well, just brokenness in general, like you can't supersede someone's free will. Like I might have an expectation of what I want for you, but I need to let you lead me down the journey that you want for you, right? So that was a hard pill to swallow in the beginning. What do you mean? You know,
I have all this for you.
Yes, right. And you don't want it?
Let me help you.
Or I learned too, like they have hopes and dreams and aspirations, but sometimes they'll ask for things that are way down here. You got to get here first. You can't get a black belt till you get your green belt. You know what I mean? Or you got to start somewhere, right? So you just can't say, I'm going to be a black belt tomorrow. No, there's a whole journey to this thing. So for me, it's the same way. I have to slow their roll down. So I've learned now to listen. And one of the things I've learned is to be a good listener, you have to learn to be silent. And it's the same words, letters in the same, those two words have the same letters, just rearranged in a different order. Yeah. So I've learned to be silent. So, which could be hard when you're a go-getter, to kind of just sit and let someone unpack and
especially
really
with
listen.
Your heritage, Sicilian and Argentinian.
Keep my hands under control. I'm sure we've seen my hands moving around. So to learn and teach my team that too, listen, we don't always have all the answers. Let's just affirm. Say, so Jason, this is what I heard you just say. Like, let them talk, tell them what you just think you heard, because you could have misheard them. Yeah. No, that's not what I said. I'm like, oh, what did you try to tell me? So learning to be able to listen, be silent, that's one of the things that I've learned. I can't supersede someone's free will choice. I've learned also it's life and death, man, outside. Like I could see you today and you think you're going to see me tomorrow. I know you might be dead tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Like that's a reality for me. Like sometimes it's like there's only so much time. I'll give you a data point. Out of the 103 people that have passed away, they all died within 27 months of me meeting them. So that means if I met you today for the very first time, a clock goes off for me. Like 27 months. The longer you stay in your condition, the more vulnerable you are to expiration. So that's scary for me. So if you're out there 2 years, I know, man, we're just playing with a ticking time bomb here. Now, some guys have gone past that point, but the average is at 27 months. So that's a scary number.
2 years.
It's hard living outside. Life expectancy of someone in the United States for homeless that die is 50. My number, those that have died, averages like 47 years old. So and numbers are getting younger. Yeah. So it's scary what we're seeing outside.
The drugs are getting stronger.
Xylazine, fentanyl, it's pretty much no more. They say it's heroin, it's not heroin, it's fentanyl. It's got all laced with all this other stuff. So basically you're doing straight fentanyl. Just think of that stuff. Or there's horse tranquilizers. Elephant tranquilizer, and it's messing up their skin. There's all kinds of other things, that side effects that come with these hardcore drugs too.
A huge theme for us at our school, and just me personally in my life, is gratitude. What has your work taught you about gratitude?
Well, so a couple of things. I'm grateful for the team that we've assembled together, because I think Leanne and I have really reduplicated our heart, not just the mechanism of how to do it, but really the heart's compassion towards it. So I'm grateful that my team... It's
great when you love your people, isn't it?
Yes, they bought into... Yeah, you're going to make me cry. Oh, God, I just felt... That's okay, that's okay. To me, that's that Latin part of me, too. Like, you said it, when you realize your team's bought into... They drank the Kool-Aid in a good way, right? That's a beautiful thing. I'm grateful for the community that we live in. Like, I'm a Syracuse guy my whole life. We have a community that has a real heart towards trying to eradicate this problem that I'm talking about. It's not just in my father's kitchen. There's 50 providers in our community that do different things within the homeless sector. So we have city government, county government, federal government that's involved actively in what we're doing here in our community. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my wife. I mean, she puts up with a lot of shenanigans. Like, I'm a visionary, so I dream a lot. So my running joke with my wife is like, I'll say to her, "Oh, what about this?" And she'll say, "Well, you have to think of this. Think of." She gives me all the logistics, and I'm like, "Let me just burn. Let me burn for a day."
Here's the idea.
Yeah,
Do it.
yeah. And then tomorrow you come to me with those, like, I call it throwing the water on the fire. But I thank God for her, because I'm grateful for her, because we are a good balance.
Yeah.
Like, I dream it up, and she helps me build it out. You know, that's what we're good at.
Nice. What's it taught you about forgiveness, the work that you do?
Yeah, I think for me, I learned that even before this for myself. When I recommitted my life back to God, it's like, I'm forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did a lot of bad things, hurt a lot of people. I had to make recompense with people, ask people to forgive me, but I also asked God to forgive me. And I think once you realize that you're forgiven, it's easy now to go out in this other capacity. And I look beyond their brokenness, even when they're lashing out maybe towards us, not that it's not directed towards us, but we're sometimes the beneficiary of their wrath. I've learned to walk in forgiveness, because where it's coming from. So forgiveness is, what I've learned about forgiveness, it sets you free. Mm-hmm. Like, when you hold something over someone, you think you're punishing them. You're keeping yourself in your own cage too. Yeah. You got to let those people go, man. Just let it go.
Yeah. You've talked a lot about your team.
Yeah.
And how wonderful your team
Yeah.
is. What makes a great person for the work that you guys do? Volunteer or employee? What's the characteristics that make them great at what they do?
I think everyone on my team, now that I think of it, we've all had some kind of crazy lived past, right? Like, I think when you go into a social work realm, usually social workers come out of some kind of, like, they grew up in a family with mental health or something. Not everybody, but it seems like the majority. So I think for me, what makes up our team really well is we all have a different story of surviving something in our past. So that gives us more sympathy and empathy towards those that we're dealing with. So I think for me, the success of our team and the way they approach people is we really go with a non-judgmental approach. Like, when we show up, I always say, "Listen, Jason, you could tell me anything. You could tell me you just did something stupid, and I'm not going to be like, oh my God."
I've heard it all at this point.
Yeah, you have to
done some of it.
You have to have a poker face, right? Like, you have to just be there, even though my mind's like, holy cow. But I'm not going to let that come across, and we're all really good at doing that as a team. So I think we bring that too.
Yeah. Where do you see it going?
That's a great question. Like, someone asked me what they wanted to donate to us, and they asked me, "What's your 5-year plan?" I'm like, "Listen, I get that."
Well, you're a visionary. What's your vision?
Yeah, so for me, it's like the housing part of it. Like, I just got approached with a crazy opportunity with like 22 acres of land up north with 5 cabins that someone might want to donate to our organization. I'm like, that would be cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, for me, it's like really like having like, I think, like a retreat center for
IMFK Ranch.
Yeah, right.
Where they're working.
Yeah, or not even that. Like, we took 5 guys to the Adirondacks once just to get out of the city for 2 days. So we handpicked 5 candidates that we thought would be really good to be able to get away for 2 days. So me and 4 other of the male guys that work for me took 5 of our guys out for 2 days in Old Forge, and we camped out, and it was like a real amazing experience for not just us, but for our friends. We did campfire. Every log that we threw in there, we labeled it with something. We're saying, this is burned away. You're letting it go. Imagine if we had some kind of place where we could have like a retreat or a reprieve for our friends that are out on the streets, that they could get away for a weekend or something. So I think for me,
the pressure that would just let off.
Oh yeah, going fishing or whatever, hiking. Like, it just, but that would be, I think,
having to look over your shoulder every second.
Correct. And just like, but the crazy thing is, sometimes when they don't know how to handle a peaceful situation. Because what I've learned is, people live in the tyranny of the moment. Chaos needs oxygen sometimes. And when you're in a chaotic environment, all of a sudden there's no chaos. You don't know what to do. You look for trouble almost. Like you want.
That's their normal.
That's where they feel like, okay, when they're at peace, they don't know how to handle. But then when you're at a peaceful setting, like if we had a place that you could get away like we did in the Adirondacks, all of a sudden you need to have someone there to help you unpack. What are you feeling right now? What are you anxious about? We're in the woods, and all of a sudden these things start coming out. So now I think for me, the next thing would be something like that.
Yeah. No, that's a great thought.
It would be cool.
Yeah. One question I forgot to ask. I was curious earlier when you were talking about your street outreach and that your van driver is one of your friends. Have you been able to hire any other ones, or is he the only one?
No, right. Well, we don't have an availability, but right now Kevin's the only one who's that person. We've used other people that have been successful to volunteer in certain capacities, but never hired anybody else. But Kevin, so for me, having someone on our team that's actually been out there, so I pick his brain all the time, even though he's been 11 years removed. He understands the psyche of it, like what the addiction, the untreated mental health. So he gives us insight into that. And the cool thing is, like, Kevin weeps. Like, when he has to turn people away to get on the van, it wrecks him because he's making the decision who gets the money today. It's like he doesn't want to send anybody away. That's that heart I'm talking about. Like, we want to be there for we know we can't be there for everybody, but we could be there for those who are participating for that day. We go all in.
Let's talk a little bit about Syracuse as a lifelong Syracusan.
Yeah.
Why do you like this area so much?
So my wife's from Colorado, so I've traveled a lot. Leanne's lived.
How did you guys meet? Sorry.
Through church. It's through church, yeah. So she's a minister as well. So we met at our church that we attend. So we've been married 30 years this year. On September 14th will be our 30th wedding anniversary. And Syracuse for me is this, I guess, I've always lived in the city. I owned a business in the city. I went to city high school. So my heart's always, that's all I've ever known. And I've seen what's happening. I'm so excited about where Syracuse is going. Like this whole Micron thing, downtown's being redeveloped. I mean, Syracuse is coming back, man. It's going to be like, I'm think my daughter's going to experience the Syracuse that I probably won't see. I'm 61, so I think in 20 years from now, Syracuse is going to look a lot different.
Yeah, I was just talking to my mom about that. Like 10, 15 years, it's going to be a whole different place.
And nowadays, like when I was a kid talking about that food thing, like kids wanted to come to my house. Now, like I was bringing Nutella sandwiches as an 8-year-old to school and getting ridiculed. You're eating a chocolate sandwich? Nutella, everyone has Nutella now. It's like a big deal, right? So what I like about Syracuse now is like you could get different kinds of foods, Indian food, Chinese food, Asian food, things from the Middle East. It's like amazing what's happening. Why wouldn't you like it's almost like, it's not New York City, but at least we have variety now. And I don't know, Syracuse is a music town. It's kind of an artsy kind of town. I think we got all of it just in a smaller micro kind of version of a bigger city, you know?
It's funny, like in my business, we're on the east side of the city, so we get a lot of people from the hospitals and the universities, and these are people that could live anywhere. And they all say if you can handle snow, if you like, you can handle it, or you enjoy winter sports, there's not a better place to live because I mean, this summer is different. But usually there's not a lot of traffic. The cost of living isn't too bad. You're 4 hours from 4 to 5 hours from a bunch of major cities. You have lots of mountains and lakes, and they all say it's one of their favorite places if you can handle snow.
I think the only place, like I've traveled a lot, and because my wife's from Colorado, maybe I'm biased, but like her father lived in Colorado Springs for a while. I remember I always said, if I would live anywhere else, I would live in Colorado Springs. That's pretty beautiful there. But I never had a desire to move away. You could travel and come back. It's kind of peaceful here. It's not fast paced. I mean, like the traffic, like you said, now it's kind of hectic. But I always say, everyone complains about it. I said it's front loaded pain for long term gain. It's just like anything else. When you first start working out, you don't like it, but when you see the effects of it, you're happy you did it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see when 81 comes out.
Oh my gosh!
I can't wait to see what.
Well, 2 years. They said 690 East is going to be shut down for 2 years through the city. That's going to be interesting.
I'm glad I take back roads to work.
Well, and I have to navigate all this stuff.
Yeah.
So when we're doing street outreach now, so there's a lot of times I take shortcuts down 81 or 690. We've been bypassing all that, so I'm going around the longer ways, but it's all right.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. A 3-minute traffic jam is not a traffic jam.
Yeah. Back to heavier questions. What's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten? Like what's one that you kind of go back to a lot?
Oh, you don't always have to hit a home run. So my mentor, no matter what I always try to do, I always try to like hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
And he said that to me one day. He sat me down. We were just talking. He wasn't trying to correct me or anything. I was kind of, I think, expounding on some vision or something and how I was trying to get there. And he just says, John, you don't always have to hit a home run. And he started going down a baseball analogy about, hey, sometimes you get a base hit. Sometimes you strike out. Sometimes you walk. Sometimes you get a double. It doesn't always have to go over the fence. And that really never left me. And so that's one of the greatest pieces of advice I got. It always slows my pace.
Yeah.
When I feel myself like grinding, trying to push forward, don't try to kick the door open. Let the door open on its own. Just do what you got to do. And if it's meant to be, that door will open. Don't try to if you force a hand into something, then I think you're responsible to maintain it. If you let it kind of organically happen and it opens, all of a sudden you have partners there. It just moves swiftly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I learned from it. Don't always try to hit a home run.
How about a mistake that ultimately ended up like a blessing or a mistake that you really learned from? Because that's another theme in our school is failure is your friend and you're going to make mistakes. What can you learn from it?
I have a lot of mistakes. I always look at mistakes as opportunities. I always say, brush yourself off, get back on the horse.
Yeah.
For me, it's like in the spiritual realm as a minister, it's like keep short accounts with God, right? So like for me, it's like if I feel like I mistreated someone I kind of disrespected you today and I'm home later and I'm in my prayer time and all of a sudden like you can't go to God and get intimate if you got something like he'll remind you, hey, when you were with Jason, you didn't really treat him that well. And for me, it's like, Lord, forgive me for that. You know what I mean? So keeping that flow, I want this relationship to be good so that this relationship can be good. So if I'm cool here, it goes back to that forgiveness thing. And then I could go back to you and say, you know what, Jason, I'm so sorry. Yesterday, it wasn't my intention, but I think I maybe said something that could have offended you. If I did, I'm so sorry. So I'm big about staying pure, like clean as possible.
Yeah.
Short accounts.
And be willing to apologize
And,
when you're
yeah,
wrong.
You're
and not
wrong.
letting ego come into it.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I learned about ego, too, I'm glad you brought that up. So ego, for me, I always thought about someone who is egotistical as someone who's, you see the manifestations of ego in regards to someone who's like tries to take over. They're very domineering. Like they're just all full of themselves. But what I learned is through trauma training, ego is coming out of a wounded place. You're actually afraid right now, so you blow up like a blowfish. You know what I mean? So my dad, I learned that even as a young boy, my dad having a Sicilian background and the way he was raised, when he wasn't getting his way with us kids, he would then blow up. It would be yelling and you'd get the belt. So that was, he got triggered and that's how ego shows up. And then, so I think for me, when I see someone who's acting that way, I'm like, oh, there's a wound there. So it gives me more compassion for you. That doesn't mean I'm going to take I'm going to let you mistreat me.
Yeah.
But I understand where it's coming from.
Yeah. You've dealt with so many people. You have perspective.
And it's
You
in my
just get
own life
people-
too. I've seen where I used to be that way a lot. You know what I mean? And even to this day, I think for me, one of the things I've always had, and this is me just being really vulnerable and transparent, is like one of the things I had to learn in my own personal life was growing up in an immigrant home with the way my dad was raised. I never got like you did a good job or pat on the back. It was always you could do better. Don't cry about that. It was always like go, push. So I learned that I had to perform to get accolades instead of just being me. It's okay to be me, right? I don't have to dance for you to like me, right? And that went into my adult life. All of a sudden I started to realize, man, I do that a lot. And then for me, when I finally tapped into that faith part of my life, and my identity's in Christ. as a person who believes. That's my security is in what Jesus says about me. It doesn't matter what Jason says. And I'm going to be the best person that I can be. And if you don't like me for me being authentic, then that's okay. But there's every once in a while that little thing tries to rise up in me too. Like if you're not and that's why the you're not invisible. I think maybe I felt invisible. As a kid. I think all of us have probably felt invisible at one time or another. Yeah. So when someone acknowledges you for who you are, it brings you to life.
Yeah. It was good so far.
Yeah.
I do want to talk a little bit more about the organization before I let you go and how people can help. I know years ago I did a test. I gave $5 to a panhandler and then pulled over into the gas station to see what he would do, and he went right in and bought alcohol. So for a few years I didn't do that. So then I moved into just I'll buy food like you do. You know, there's one guy that's always in front of Chipotle with his dog, and I'll be like, "Hey, did you eat today?" Nope.
The violin guy.
Yeah, the violin guy. Yeah,
yes,
and
we know him.
his dog's definitely guards his stuff very well. But if people, want to help Syracuse residents, what are some things that they should do?
Yeah, so great question. My friends on the street don't like it when I say this. It's don't give money. Yeah. But you could do something. So the first thing you could do, which is the easy thing, you're at that first car, you're at the red light, and there's a person right out your window. Wave. They're usually waving now at you. Yeah. You could wave to them and just give them a nod and continue on with you. Don't pretend you're looking for change. Yeah. I'm looking at my phone. Right? Yeah. You're trying because it's an awkward moment. Yeah. You shouldn't feel there's no awkwardness. You're not obligated to do anything, but you could be cordial. That's an easy thing. Yeah. But then if you want to take it a step farther and like you're on a specific route where you see this guy all the time, you could set yourself up with a gallon-sized Ziploc bag and put items that are seasonal. Always like a pair of socks would be good. Candy's a big deal on the street. Wet wipes. What else? A bottle of water. Just deodorant. And then this is what I say. You roll your window down and you offer if they would like it. Don't assume they're going to want it. Yeah. Say, hey, man, I see you here. I'm always going through here every day. I got this bag of some goodies in it. Would you like it? They say yes. You give it to them. Say, okay, man, I just wanted to let you know I see you. You're not invisible. You go on your way. If they say no, you don't take it personal. Don't get offended. Yeah. And just say, okay, man, well, you're not invisible. I'll talk to you, whatever. See you later. And you take off.
You're not obligated. They're not obligated.
Correct. And exactly. And then at least you tried. Yeah. So that would be or Dunkin' Donut gift card could be something you hand out the window. Like if you said Chipotle, it could be a gift card to Chipotle for $10. Yeah. So instead of you running in there all the time, you could just get a couple of them.
Anyway.
Yeah, but if you line them up like you have them in your wallet or in your glove box and you just hand, hey, I got a gift card for Chipotle. Would you want it? Yeah. Boom. If they say no, then they say no. Yeah. So those are the easy things that you could do.
Yeah. Tell me about the products because that's another way that you can support.
So these three things here, the pasta sauce is my grandma's Sicilian recipe. This is the sauce we sold at Asti Cafe as well. We have the coffee and the syrup. So that's me again now. My entrepreneur hat came on. So running a not-for-profit, always having to fundraise and do special events. We send out a newsletter every month that helps generate revenue. I was thinking, well, why can't we have a marketplace item that would generate money through the marketplace that would then help us fund our projects? And it's eating with a purpose. So you pick up, it's sold at Wegmans and other specialty shops, the sauce. You could pick up a jar every week and put it in your cart, and you're helping the homeless by doing that, right? I call it the sauce that saves. It's kind of got a wraparound story on it. The sauce that saves. What does that mean? Well, when you buy a jar of sauce, you're helping us save people's lives, right? Yeah. Through eating. And it's a tool if you have kids in the house. I know that you're big with kids, with your program. You could use this as a talking point at the kitchen table. Hey, we're eating the sauce today and it's helping us with the homeless. Next thing you know, dialogue starts happening with your kids and you're educating your children about what's going on the streets of Syracuse. Coffee, you could order that online and it'll be mailed to your house directly. I brought one of our blends here, New Horizons, is a whole bean coffee, but there's ground coffee, there's Brazilian, there's Sumatra, and you could order whatever you want. Sign up for a subscription if you want, and it'll be mailed to your house anywhere in the United States. So if you're watching this in Hawaii right now, you could get it. You could get it shipped to you. This thing's gonna explode, Jason. Yeah. I didn't know if you know that.
You're a big deal.
No, not the story. Your program. And then the maple syrup, you could buy it directly from me. If you order any of these in Onondaga County through our website, I will personally deliver it to your house for a $20 minimum. So if you want to meet me at your front door, I'll ring your doorbell. You can shake my hand, get to talk with me a little bit, and I'll drop off these products.
As far as I know, with not since the pandemic, I've been bad about that stuff, but we've done collections for you before,
Yeah.
like toiletries and socks and things like that. If people want to donate that type of stuff, is there a way for them
Yep.
to do that? If they said, wanted to make it like the sauce, like a lesson for their kids, like,
Yeah.
hey, we're going to go shopping for the homeless
Yep.
today and put together like a care package. How would they do that?
So that's a great question. So other than purchasing things or financially supporting us, we're always taking gently used items, right? So you could donate clothing that you're not using. Like you go through we're not taking kids' clothes, but it had to be men's or women's adults. Like in the wintertime, we're taking winter coats, sweaters, hoodies, jeans, sweatpants, boots, sneakers. They don't have to be brand new. They could be gently used. Every Friday, our storefront is open from 12 to 2 at 501 Hawley Ave. You can see all this on our website at inmyfatherskitchen.org. And you could drop off those donations to us. Or if you wanted to do some kind of, like if you wanted to have your kid do a sock drive in their school, you could set up something as a teaching tool for your child to collect something in the school, and then you could hand deliver them to us. Excellent. So there's different ways. Financially for supporting us through products, supporting us by bringing donations to us.
Excellent. Anything I missed, or one thing you want everybody to remember about this podcast?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, thank you again for letting me be this voice.
Coming on here.
Yeah, for the voiceless, but also
my mom's favorite charity.
I would say just think about this, that when you are going through the community and you see someone in a homeless situation or a broken situation, remember it's somebody's family. It's somebody's mother, somebody's father, brother, uncle, aunt, cousin that's out there. Somebody's related to this person. If it was your family member, would you want me or other organizations to show up? Well, the answer is always, of course.
Yeah.
Because it's not your family doesn't mean that don't do anything. Don't disregard because, it's not my relative, so it doesn't matter. Acknowledge. Like I said, just say wave. Just give a wave. If you feel like you're watching this and you want to do more, you could reach out to me through the website, and I'll love to talk to you to figure out how we could get you plugged in somehow. Just engage with people. And it doesn't even have to be homeless. Like, what about the person in your office space? Maybe there's someone that's having a hard time. They're going through a divorce, and that they're struggling. Could you go over there and just be a nice friend and compassionate ear for someone? Maybe it's someone in your family that's disenfranchised from everybody else. Could you be the mediator, the bridge to bring them back into the fold? To me, it's like we have to stop looking just at me, myself, and I, and look at those around us and see how you could be a tool or a vessel that I would say God could use to help facilitate true transformation in our community, whether it's a stranger, a friend, a coworker, a family member.
And that's a great place to end it. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I
Thanks
appreciate
for watching,
you.
everybody.
Gotcha.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.